So we are now joined by Kasey Tyndall, all the way in Nashville. How are you, Kasey?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. And how are you coping with the weather across there?
I'm staying inside. I'm staying warm. I'm not used to the snow, so I am just drinking lots of hot chocolate and hanging out with my family.
Have you been outside and built a snowman yet?
Yes, we went outside. I have a 8-month-old, and this is her first snow, so we took her out in it for a bit the other day. So, but other than that, we've just been watching movies, drinking hot chocolate, and just hanging out.
That sounds perfect, to be fair, especially in this type of weather. There's not much else you can do. So the first question that, like, well, before we even start, I remember seeing you back in 2022. It was during CMA Fest week, and it was in Tin Roof. You were on the second floor, and you were doing like a singer-songwriter round.
Oh,
And I
that's
spoke to you
right.
afterwards. And honestly, like ever since then, I was like, I need to get this girl on the podcast because it was just your songwriting ability straight away, just like struck me, and like everything was just brilliant about your performance then. And it's just been amazing to see you like grow as an artist from that moment in time to like CMA Fest the year after. But one question that we always love to start with people is, can you tell us a tiny bit about your background and how you started your career in music?
Yeah, so I've always loved music. I taught myself to play guitar when I was 13, and but I felt like being a big country star was so out of reach. It didn't seem like an obtainable goal. So I also had this love and wanted to be a nurse, and so I was going to school at East Carolina University in North Carolina to be a nurse. Also, if you hear my baby, she's so cute. If you hear that noise, my baby. And so went to college to be a nurse, but like music obviously was what I really wanted to do. But I didn't even know where to even begin other than playing the local shows that I was playing. I didn't even know where to start. Do you move to Nashville? Is it worth moving to Nashville? I had all these questions. And so I was like, you know what? I should be a nurse. Well, then Keith Urban held this contest on every tour stop that he had in 2013. And he needed a female to sing the Miranda part to We Were Us. And everybody pushed me to try out, and I did, and I won for my side of the state, and got to sing with him. And one thing led to another. It was like I met my first manager there, and then that led me to move to Nashville, and then so that's kind of how I got here. And so I'll always be thankful for that contest that Keith Urban had.
So, like you've talked about, like you always enjoy music. What sort of genre of music did you grow up on? I presume it was a bit country, but listening to some of your music, it's like quite rock influenced.
Yeah, so I listened to both rock and country growing up, mostly country, but my dad was, whatever was on country radio, that's what he was listening to. I mean, both my grandparents, like, I grew up listening to old country music with them and watching the Grand Ole Opry, and then my mom loved country as well, but she loved 80s rock. And so listening to that in the car with her it really blends together in my music. And but yeah, I definitely love both country and rock.
So in 2015, you decided to make the move to Nashville. And how did you find it moving to Music City?
Um, Easier than I thought. It was hard not being 21 when I moved because I couldn't get into any bars or go anywhere really because everywhere you have to be 21. But it was awesome. I was, lucky enough as soon as I got here to really jump into the writing community, which is half the battle. And I made some incredible friends right off the bat. I was so lucky in that sense. So, um, yeah, it was easier than I thought.
And you just mentioned there, like, if you're a performer and you're going to go and perform in the bars in Nashville, can you do that before age 21?
Um, I, I'm not really sure. Like, I didn't really play a lot on Broadway. I was kind of traveling, back and forth to North Carolina, where those people did let me play. I just couldn't hang around. Like, once you
Yeah.
play, then you have to leave. But I'm not really sure how they do it, like on Broadway, as far as if you have to be 21 to perform. Um, but but yeah, I was just going everywhere as soon as I got here to play any show that I could.
And when you moved to Nashville as well, you got into a small little friendship group with some like pretty remarkable names there now as well. And so can we talk a bit about that and what it was like to have a friendship circle like that?
Yeah, I mean, we all move here and none of us have family. Most of us don't. Some are lucky and they're from here, but most of us aren't. And so when you find that group of friends, I mean, they are your family. And so my group of girlfriends, I mean, Lainey Wilson, Janella Master, Farron Rachel's, Ashlyn Craft, Megan Patrick. Oh my gosh, I'm missing a lot of our manager friends like Caroline Munsick, Randy McFadden, Mandolin Monchick. Me and Mandolin actually moved to Nashville together from North Carolina. But yeah, it was so necessary. It was vital to being here, growing up here, in music and just becoming an adult. They were my family. They still are.
That's amazing. Like it must be so good, like when you see each other and like celebrating each other's success and seeing how well each of you are doing. Must be just such a nice feeling knowing where you first began.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I feel like when one of us wins, it really does feel like we all win. It's pretty amazing, and everybody's doing so good now, and it's so fun to watch the ride.
That's it. So 2 years later, you released your debut album, Between Salvation and Survival. How was it like? How did it feel releasing that album?
It was incredible. It was my first real step, into country music, and it was my first major release. I think I had done a couple singles before that, but that album was the first time I'm going, "Hey, I'm Kasey Tyndall. Nice to meet you." And so, but it's amazing to hear the music since that record, and just to hear the growth. I've said this before in a few interviews. You don't really see the growth until after you look back on the songs and you're like, wow, I'm such a different person. I write better, I sing better, I play better. But that record is definitely so special to me because it was the first jump into the water.
And um, the first time I said I seen you, like one of the tracks that you were just releasing was called Babies, and it was like captivating. To be fair, so could you just tell us a tiny bit about the meaning behind that track, please?
Yeah. So, baby, it's funny because now I have a baby. But when I wrote Babies with a few friends of mine, it was, you know, we were all in this point in our lives where we were looking on social media and all of our friends back home were getting married and having kids and we were just like wow, and then all of the moms are like, when are you going to get married and have kids, and we're like, well, I don't know. And then so that's where that song came from. All my exes call me crazy and all my friends are having babies. But yeah, it's funny, it takes a while after you write a song to release a song, and not long after I released the song I ended up finding out that I was having my first child, which was so awesome, and so full circle. And again, to see that growth is it's incredible.
And one of your other like well-known tracks is called Jesus and Joan Jett. And I know that your mum was a big fan of her. So could we just talk about one of that, like that song as well, and the meaning behind that track?
Yeah, so I actually wrote that song a long time. I wrote it in 2017, I think is when it was written, and we played it on the road for years before we put it out. I was just at a point where I wasn't ready to release music, but it was my like most popular song amongst my fans, and so I think we put it out. What was it, like 4 or 5 years after the song was written? So it was a long time coming, but I really, when we wrote the song, it was just. I always ask myself two questions when faced with anything in life. Is one is what would Jesus do, and two is what would Joan Jett do, and you add it all together and you answer. So that's where Jesus and Joan Jett comes from, and I love that song because it displays like sonically, where my music's at and where it's going, and it's my favorite one to play live.
And one of our favorite songs is your track called Middleman. And
Oh,
the meaning, like, can we just talk a tiny bit about the meaning behind that song as well, please?
yeah, totally. So Middleman is my favorite song I've ever written. Um, and I wrote it with Lainey Wilson, and we were roommates at the time that we wrote it. It was during COVID. We couldn't go nowhere, couldn't tour, so we had a lot of time to like just sit and hang out and talk and reflect and write. And we just happened to be on the back porch one night, and got randomly talking about how my parents were divorced. And I just said, I was like, it actually it wasn't that bad for me. Like my parents got along, and it was great for me. I didn't realize till I put the song out that for most people it's not. But I happened to say to her, I said, the only thing that kind of sucked about it was being the oldest sibling. I was the middleman, and as soon as I said middleman, she was like, "Go get a guitar right now. We're writing that." And I put it out like a year or two later.
It's like I was watching a few weeks back your Grand Ole Opry debut video that's like on YouTube for anyone that hasn't seen it. And on there, like you talk about the song as well. But how does it feel like writing something so personal to yourself, but like so many other people can like resonate with the song?
Yeah, I feel like that's the beauty of country music or just music and lyrics in general. I do think that we go through things so that we can write about it and so that other people can relate and heal or be happy or be sad, whatever it is. And so that's definitely one of those songs that I feel like, I was meant to go through that, even though it wasn't bad. I was meant to, have that inspiration so that I could help other people that might not have, feel like I do about it. So I feel very blessed in that sense. But yeah, it's really cool.
And so you've just released a single which came out on the 5th of January called Bad for Me. And for anyone that hasn't heard it, definitely give it a listen. But can we just talk about the story behind that track as well, please?
Yeah. So bad for me is really it's just about needing somebody as crazy as you are in life. And so I'm so excited about that song. It's probably been my biggest release yet. We just got on the highway, which is really cool. We've had a lot of support from Nashville, and I just feel like the fans are really connecting to it, and a lot of love online. So yeah, that's bad for me.
And like you just mentioned before that you welcomed your first child last year. So congratulations on that. But how
Yeah.
have you managed to balance your like career and like dealing with like motherhood as well?
It's actually been easier than I thought it would be. I'm so blessed. My husband's so awesome. We were, I just feel like when you have a kid, a way is made for your kid. So it's like things are lining up in my life for her. Um, and which is really, really cool. And like, there'll be times where I'm like, how did I work that out? How did that happen? I'm like, oh, it's for her. Which is really cool. It's been awesome. We've taken her on the road. She loves it. She loves music. It's amazing to watch. Like she'll just start like doing like this with her hands when music comes on and kicking her feet. And we got our little headphones, and she's so cute. But she's definitely a little road baby. But it's been awesome. It's really been a lot easier than I thought it would be, and I'm so excited for uh, the rest of this journey.
And like obviously on the arrival of your daughter, has it inspired any songwriting from yourself?
Oh yeah, I have a song that's going to be coming out on my next project. That's hopefully going to be coming out in the spring. We're not 100% sure yet, but it's called "Not As I've Done," and it's definitely one of my favorite songs. It's right there with Middleman for me. My husband, he says it's his favorite song. Like it even beats Middleman, which is hard to do. So it totally has. It totally has. I mean, I've changed completely as a person, how I think, everything, and so that I can definitely see it in my songwriting a lot. But this particular song, I am so excited for everybody to hear.
I can't wait to hear that. And one thing is, so you've throughout your career so far, you've had many accolades in your career. You've played festivals, you've played the Grand Ole Opry, you played the Ryman, you've released so many great songs. But what has been the single highlight of your career so far, if you had to pick one?
Oh gosh, that's so hard. Biggest highlight of my career. I mean, honestly, I don't really have one particular. Maybe I have a moment. And that's I think the highlight so far is when Catch the Core from Old Crow Medicine Show asked me to make my Opry debut and my Ryman debut in like one moment. That was a huge moment. But I mean, honestly, all of 2023 was so like big for me. It was a lot of great stuff. I mean, I wish I could just say the whole year was the biggest point in my career. I mean, we had so much from, CMT Next Women of Country, to the Opry, to the Ramen, to lots of releases. it just felt so huge. And having my daughter, I mean, just like 2023 was amazing. But that particular moment might be the highlight of my musical career thus far.
It was amazing. Like I said, I was watching the YouTube video like from when you got asked, and it was crazy. Like you were in the Grand Ole Opry, you were writing, you were singing along, and then he just wanders in and then just gives you like the baby groan. It was just like such a wholesome moment.
It was insane. Yeah, and it was even crazier that I was actually at the Opry. I was writing with this group called Creative Vets, and they write with veterans and children of like Gold Star families, and um, so that was like super special when he came in. I was so shocked.
So we're put like out to our followers that you were coming on the show, and we've got 9 quickfire questions. Like just anything that comes to your mind, just say it what it is. Um, so the first one is, what's your go-to drink?
Go to drink right now is red wine. But if I'm like playing a show, it's a vodka Sprite.
Um, what's your favorite TV program at the minute?
Suits.
Can't beat a bit of Harvey Specter. Um, what is your favorite place that you've visited?
Oh crap. Favorite place I've visited. Oh, that's so hard. Uh I love Montana. I don't really have a specific place, but Montana's awesome.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. Brownies.
The
Brownies
coconut
glass.
chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Yep.
good choice. What is your dream collaboration?
Dream collaboration. It's a tie. Honestly, I wish I could do, you know, both of them on the same song, and it would be Alison Krauss and Avril Lavigne.
That'd be some song, huh? What is your favorite food?
Favorite food. Oh, these are hard. Um, what's my favorite food? Probably a steak.
Yeah, solid choice.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you can live without?
My husband.
Um, what's your favorite song that you've wrote?
Favorite song I've written is definitely Middleman.
And finally, who do you think is going to be the next breakout star in country music?
Next breakout star in country music. That's a tough one. Emily Ann Roberts.
Yeah,
She is like crushing it. Like I mean, there's so many, but she's just first thing that pops in my head. I mean, like her personality, like online, is so good. Her voice is so good. Her songs are so good. I've written a song with her. She's an incredible writer. I just feel like she's definitely just about to be one of the next big things.
yeah. We interviewed her in Nashville during CMA week last year, and it was just yeah, she like you say, she's phenomenal.
Yes.
So last thing is, so 2023 has been like a whirlwind of a year for you. Like you became a mum, you became a wife, you grew as an artist, like you got all these accolades and performed at all these amazing places. So what has the rest of 2024 got in store for you?
Um, Music and touring. I'm so excited. We have a project coming out. Like I said, we're hoping for like springtime, into spring maybe. We're not quite sure yet. We just finished it and is I'm so excited. But also we're doing another leg of the Ashley McBride tour in March, and then we're gonna be on the road in the fall too. But can't really talk about that stuff yet. But we're going to be on the road. And so if you follow me on all my social media, you'll be able to see where we're going to be, and you'll be able to know when new music's coming out.
Perfect. Well, Ashley McBride's currently in the UK touring. So
Yep.
hopefully one day this year, like we might get to see yourself across the pond and touring across on our shores.
I'm hoping. I can't wait. I haven't been over there yet, so I'm so excited.
We can't wait to have you. But thank you so much for joining us today, Kasey, taking time out your day, a
Thank
time
y'all.
out of playing in the snow.
Oh my gosh. Thank y'all so much for having me.